Hi, I'm Hebrew manuscript artist and author Debra Band. Welcome to the fourth and last of the short videos I've done this year celebrating Mother's Day by exploring the roots of the Jewish mystical conception of the Shekhinah as the mother of all souls. Let's end this journey now by seeing how wisdom, the Shekhinah, flows into the world through the Friday night Kiddush, the blessing over wine that begins the festive Jewish Sabbath evening meal, and then end with the exploration I promised in the first of these videos of Eshet Chayil, a powerful woman, the paean of praise to wisdom, to the Shekhinah, and to the woman of the house that many Jewish families sing at the traditional Sabbath table. So let's begin by thinking about the meaning of the wine. The notion of the flow of wisdom into the world flows also into the Kabbalistic understanding of Friday night Kiddush. Now, we sing Kiddush every Shabbat, but we don't often stop to really reflect upon what it's saying, much less to enjoy it as poetry. So let's review what Kiddush says and see whether it doesn't remind you of that wisdom view of creation, the sense of the beautiful order of creation that we saw in the first video when we discussed Psalm 104. So here's Kiddush. Evening came and morning came the sixth day. The sky, the earth, and all their vast contents were completed. By the seventh day, God had finished all the work that he had done, and so he rested on the seventh day from all his work that he had done. He blessed the seventh day and set it apart as holy, for that was when he rested from making all the things that God created. Blessed are you, Lord our God, who created the fruit of the vine. Blessed are you, Lord our God, who set us apart by his commandments, was pleased with us, and made his holy Sabbath ours in love and pleasure, a remembrance of the work of creation. Indeed, it's the first of all holy festivals, a remembrance of the exodus from Egypt. Indeed, you chose us and set us apart among the nations, and made your holy Sabbath ours in love and pleasure. Blessed are you, Lord, who makes the Sabbath holy. Beautiful translation, isn't it? This was done by the famous scholar of medieval Hebrew poetry, Raymond Chandlin, for our book, Kabbalat Shabbat, the Grand Unification. Now, Jewish tradition, of course, inaugurates almost all sacred times with blessings over wine. The wine to which the young woman in the Song of Songs, for instance, compares her lover's kisses symbolizes divine wisdom, according to one famous 12th century Kabbalistic commentary on the Song of Songs. Jewish mystical tradition suggests that Shabbat is the time of the week when the light of that wisdom flows most abundantly into our material realm. Jewish lore compares the Torah, the essential expression of divine wisdom, to water, the physical substance that, other than its component oxygen, is most essential to sustaining life. My illuminations of Friday night Kiddush express the mystical metaphor of how the wine symbolizes divine wisdom here in the material world. The micrographic text, the tiny text bordering the two paintings, presents the passage from Proverbs 8 that we read in the first or the second of these videos, describing Lady Wisdom as God's oldest companion. You understand this is entirely metaphorical. At right, the Hebrew illumination plays with the image of the wine fountains, with which many of us nowadays share Kiddush with the family and friends at our tables. These cups, though, are not arrayed on tiered trays that pipe wine from the central cup at top into those at lower levels, and this wine is much more than fermented grape juice, even the finest. Instead, here, the wine overflows from one level to the next, following the Kabbalistic metaphor that describes how divine wisdom flows from the highest, most hidden aspects of God downward until it reaches the material world, here transforming to water, following a lovely Kabbalistic metaphor. And here, the vessels through which the wine flows symbolize the 10 sefirot, or emanations of God. And the mystical tradition assigns each one of them a characteristic color, and I've represented them with cups painted in those colors. There's much more about this in the book. The pyramid-shaped organization of the wine cups, though, alludes to the human understanding of the order of the universe. Now, why do I care about the order of the universe here? An important aspect of this project to me, in fact, I think an important way for us moderns to understand Kabbalat Shabbat altogether, is the similarity of fundamental questions of the unity of all matter as described in Kabbalah to the unity of all matter we know through modern physics and cosmology. Just as the Kabbalistic system ascribes the number 10 cosmic significance, for instance, obviously the 10 Sefirot, the ancient Greek Pythagorean philosophy, which is, after all, the foundation of all modern mathematics, also regarded the number 10 as sacred and considered the pyramid formed by the generators of geometric dimensions, you'll understand this in a moment, in which I've arranged the cups as emblematic of the unity of the universe. And the 4 levels of this Pythagorean pyramid trace the development of geometric form in the way I've painted. You'll see at the top level, the single cup establishes a single point. In the second level, the 2 cups represent the 2 points determining a line. In the third level, the 3 cups represent the 3 points needed to define a plane, while at the bottom, the 4 cups symbolize the 4 points necessary to define the simplest 3-dimensional form or space. And then you see that the water flows down into the material world, tumbling over boulders, maybe into a mountain stream. Ezra compared a Kabbalistic writer I referred to before, compared rough boulders to wisdom. The stony cracks and fissures in the rocks that I include in this painting symbolize the task of looking for wisdom in hard, hidden places. And if that isn't part of motherhood, I don't know what is. The English illumination at left offers a painting of a single brimming family Kiddush cup, bearing not only the wine, but also imagery suggesting another aspect of the Shabbat, whose holiness we recognize with that wine. Now you can see 18 apples growing on the 2 trees, alluding, obviously, to the numerical equivalent of the word chai, life. Obvious to all Jews, that is. But there's a deeper meaning. The Zohar compares the Shekhinah, the feminine quality of God closest to the material realm, to a fragrant field of holy apples. And on Friday night, the king is joined with the Sabbath bride, the holy field is fertilized, and from their sacred union, the souls of the righteous are produced. And the Kabbalistic tradition extends this heavenly union to earthly couples as well. In Jewish mystical thought, the earthly mother, consciously or not, embodies the heavenly mother. Let's return now, as I promised in the first video in this series, to a powerful woman, Eshet Chayil. The text itself, Proverbs 31, verses 10 to 31, presents an image of a woman who excels in both spheres, household and business management and moral character, both matters of mind and material. It's this woman that the founders of the Kabbalat Shabbat traditions, Rabbi Isaac Luria and his colleagues in Tzfat, likened to the female wisdom described earlier in Proverbs, as we read before, and used to praise wisdom's contribution to the Shabbat home, to the family's essential Jewish life. Here, I presented the Eshet Chayil, the powerful woman, in Dr. Shendlin's really wonderful new translation, as a strong oak tree. My grandmother, Bessie Packman Swift, of blessed memory, embodied everything about the Eshet Chayil for me and all our family. Her dining room table, made for her in London during the early 1930s, is now my own Shabbat table, and my own new little granddaughter is the 6th generation of my family to gather around this table. Now, I spent the night my grandmother passed away doing an Eshet Chayil picture dedicated to her for my mother. I was across the continent at that point, designed around the oak tree image. One of my favorite passages in the little Talmudic ethical tract, Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, compares the truly wise person to a tree that has not only a big showy leaf canopy, but also strong, if invisible, roots that anchor it and nourish it, supporting it through any adversity. And that's the tree that I've painted here. Many of you may recognize other symbols in this painting from my earlier books. Its trunk supports roses and grapes. Its roots shelter the perfumed myrrh used in the temple incense, the fragrant pink lilies that symbolize the value of the 10 Commandments in the imperfect human world, while the gazelle grazing at the side reminds us of the undying love between Israel and the divine, between the masculine and feminine aspects of divinity, and between man and woman, as we welcome divine wisdom to our Shabbat tables. And now, as we approach Mother's Day, we appreciate the profound wisdom and divine energy we human mothers channel into our daily world. So I hope you've enjoyed this three-part series and that it brings a deep meaning to your Mother's Day celebrations. Follow these little videos for further adventures exploring the Jewish spirit through visual midrash. Full discussion of the poetry and paintings above can be found in Kabbalat Shabbat, the Grand Unification, that I published at the beginning of September 2016. I've also put out a matching paperback bencher, Kabbalat Shabbat, the Grand Unification at the Sabbath Table, which contains just the illuminations of the songs and prayers chanted as Shabbat arrives and around the dinner table. Actually, it's the songs and prayers before Shabbat comes in and those around the table. This way, everyone at the table can share the lovely paintings and ideas along with the lucky person holding the hardback book. As you see on the screen, the books can be purchased at your favorite bookstores or at my distributor, www.ipgbook.com. And if you're in time, there's a special discount on the screen. You can find out more about my Hebrew illuminated manuscripts at Book Talks at my website, www.dbandart.com. Finally, I'd like to thank Sharon and Steve Lieberman for their generous and gracious support of this work. Happy Mother's Day!